All right, welcome to week 5 of your breakthrough year, where we're going through powerful transformations to take your life to a completely new level. And so by now, we've talked a lot about high level planning, you setting goals in place, you developing your army, you being able to have all different types of mindset adjustments to really positioning yourself for success. And in today's video, we're going to get a little bit more tactical towards you actually hitting the goal. So this is called the big explosion. How to forge your dream into reality. So for most people that are on a path to reaching success, most people that are success minded, you're driven, you're ambitious, you're focused, you're dedicated. For most of us, the problem is not that we don't do enough. The problem is that we do too much, and our focus and our mind and our efforts are all over the place. And so I would probably be willing to bet that when it comes to your personal life, you already have an idea on what you want to accomplish in terms of your goal. But the problem is there's so many other things that are getting in the way of you accomplishing that goal. So we're going to do something a little bit different today in this video. It's going to be a fairly short video for week 5's lesson. So in this video, we're going to start with the assignment. I want you to take out a sheet of paper, and I want you at the very top of the page to write your goal. What is it? The number one thing that you're going to do this year that, if accomplished, that would mean that you had a breakthrough year. Maybe it's you get a better job. Maybe it's you pay off your debt. Maybe, you lose weight, you start a business, whatever the case is for you. Maybe it's improved credit. I want you to write at the top of the page the number one most important thing that you need to get accomplished for this year. Don't write 2 things, don't write 3 things, don't write 4 things. We'll get to that later. Write the number one thing. And what I want you to do is, under that, I want you to list all of the barriers that's stopping you from accomplishing that one thing faster. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a prime example. I had a vision of being able to do my dream in building my company full time. Okay, I had a dream that I was going to be able to set up, something similar to this, and I was going to be online and connect with people throughout the world, giving them value, reaching out, really doing things to be able to try to change the game. And so I recognized, as I tried to go down that process of building my business on the side at work, I realized that my job was one of the top barriers for me accomplishing that type of success, because there was only so much that I could do to grow my company at my job. I just didn't have enough hours. When I was working at HP, I was working anywhere from 60 to 80 hours a week, right? Really, really went through some down dips in that company. Some of you are probably already aware that within the past decade, there's been 50 plus thousand layoffs. So lots of reorgs, all types of things, multiple CEOs, all types of things. So the whole case in point was, I was spending so many hours at this job that I did not have enough time to be able to build the company that I wanted to build. And so that became one of the things in my life that was stopping me from reaching the goal that I really wanted. Now, for those of you that are just like me, there's a multitude of things that's stopping you from being able to get to where you want to go. It's not just your job. It's how you manage your time, maybe. It's who you allow in your circle. It is, doing this thing and that thing and going this place and that place and being committed to this over here and you're committed to that over there. And it's like you're just all over the place because you think that being successful is all about doing everything. When in actuality, being successful, being productive, being effective is about doing the right thing and doing it well. So what I want you to do is, as you're listing out all of these barriers, and I'm really looking for you to write anywhere between 5 to 10 real barriers, real things that are taking you away from hitting whatever your goal is. Take some time right now to write down that 5 to 10 and pause this video until you get that list drafted. I'm going to give you a second. All right, so now that you're back in gear and you've written out those 5 to 10 barriers that's stopping you from reaching your success, I want you to take the 2 biggest ones that's on that list of 5 to 10, and I want you to devise a plan to explode those things off your list. That's the big explosion. So when I went through this exercise, obviously one of the most critical barriers to my success in building my business was my 9-to-5 job. Yes, there were other factors. How I was managing my time, what I was spending my time doing, who I was spending my time with, all of the different commitments that I had in place. While all of those other things did compound the problem that I was having, one of the things that you always want to think about is this, the 80-20 rule. And we're talking about that in this video as well. You got to be mindful of the fact that 80% of your problems is caused by 20% of your activities, right? Same way that 80% of your results comes from 20% of your work, 80% of all of your headaches comes from 20% of your influences and activities. So what is that 20%? That's the reason why I said, take the top 10 things, put a circle around the 2 biggest things that are the biggest barriers, and work to explode them. Now, some of these explosions could happen right now. Maybe it's not your job. Maybe it's something that you're doing. Explode that right now. Maybe it's this person that you're around that you know that you don't have any business being around. Explode that right now. You're holding back your own success. If it is explodable right now, I'm telling you this, trust me on this. If it's explodable right now, explode it and let it go right now. Because if you never let go of it, you're always going to find yourself in the same predicament, and you're never going to be able to reach the success that you want to be able to have. If you really want to be able to have a breakthrough year, you've got to be able to explode something. And that's the reason why Warren Buffett says every single year that he's alive, he always cuts one person out of his life. That might sound a little bit ruthless, but he's always doing inventory on what is working for him and getting him ahead, and what is stopping him, what is causing a barrier for his next level of success. And so that's what you got to be able to do as well. You got to be able to take stock of, what are all these barriers that's stopping me from being where I want to be at right now in my life? Maybe it's my family. Maybe it's my friend. Maybe it's my job. Maybe it's my habits. Maybe it's my health. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. Whatever it is, be willing to explode it. And if it's not explodable right now, what that means is the second part of your assignment is creating an action plan to be able to explode it. So this is what that looks like, okay? I'm going to use myself as an example. So for me, getting out of my job was not explodable right then and there on the spot. I couldn't just go through that exercise and just go to the boss and be like, yep, I quit, I'm out. I wish that I could have been able to have that much freedom and flexibility and finances to where I could just have, that type of FU money to just up and bounce whenever I wanted to. But I had to make my life a little bit more calculated. Okay. So what you're going to do in this case is you're going to take out another sheet of paper and you're going to call this the action plan. the explosion action plan. Okay. Now you're going to write what things that needs to be exploded that cannot be exploded today because it's very deeply woven into your life, and you got to kind of work through a process to be able to get it done, whatever the case may be. This is your action plan. Now what you need to be able to do is you need to be able, on the left hand side of the paper, you need to be able to list out all of the things that you need to accomplish before you walk away from what you're about to explode completely. Okay. So for me, before I left corporate America, I needed a certain amount of money in savings. I needed a certain level of professional business training. So that way, when I came out and did this full time, I would know what I was doing. You might need to transfer some files, right? That's what I did. I know it sounds weird. What, transfer files? I needed to be able to transfer the files that was on my work computer to my personal computer. That was my property. Not talking about company property, the things that were my property. I would use the work computer for a lot of my personal stuff, and I needed to transfer it somewhere else. So that way, when I turn in my work computer, all of my personal stuff would not just be there alone. Because I was doing a lot of my business stuff as I was at work. Before I went to work, during work at a free second, after work, I was working on my company. I was working on what we have right now. So, I'm putting all this together for you guys because you've got to be able to know how to get to where you want to get from right now. Right now, you might not be able to snap your finger and your dream happens tomorrow, but something might need to get exploded to help you get there one step further. The main barrier needs to be out of the way to give you more time, more resources, more energy to be able to move closer towards that goal. Because if you're going to have a breakthrough year, we got to take everything that's stopping you and tuck it to the side. So that way you have a very clear path to your own success. Okay. And so the second thing that we're going to do as far as that action plan is, we're going to outline after we list everything, start putting in dates on when these things are going to be accomplished. Start putting in dates. We're done being in la la land on, I want to do this one day and I want to do that one day. No, we've got to explode this thing with action. Preferably, we could have let go of this today. But since we cannot do that because of how deep it is, we've got to list out all of the things that need to get accomplished before we can explode it. And then what we're going to do is, behind every single item, deadline. So if you need to save up a certain amount of money before you switch jobs, savings deadline. If you need to be able to turn in a handful of applications for a new job, okay, what's the deadline on when you're going to do that? What's the deadline on when you're going to, come up with an idea for your business? Whatever the case may be, make your action plan, have it listed out, and then once you have the items listed out, put dates next to each one. Then you're going to just create a basic workflow. Okay. So the way the basic workflow is here, I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to pull out a sheet of paper, show you what I'm talking about. Basically, you're just going to be able to create this little step-by-step flow chart that's going to show, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to get accomplished? And when is it going to happen? Okay, so let's say that, going back to this corporate example, and I really wish that I had my my corporate exit plan still in play, so that way I could show you exactly what I did. But I'm just going to make one right now just from scratch. Okay, so maybe what I need, okay, let's say save $10,000, let's just say. Okay, what's another thing? Provide 2 weeks notice. What's going to be another thing? Let's see. Complete business program. Okay. Now, this list can go on forever. So I'm not going to be here all day with you guys just going through chicken scratch. I'm just giving you an idea. Okay, so you got this exit plan. on the left, you're just writing out, right? All these different little things. Whatever comes to your mind, just brainstorm. Okay, this is your working file. It's not something you're going to turn into somebody. So don't be afraid if it's a little sloppy and, it's hard to make out. As long as you can have somewhere to brain dump everything that you need to do to have this explosion, use this file for that. Write it all out, and then next to each of these, you need to start putting in dates right on the side. So I could say, save $10,000. Let me say by March the 30th, right? So you got the activity, and then you're going to put the date, okay? And then what you're going to be able to do is you're going to say, okay, you're going to have your end goal, which I'm going to put here as goodbye, corporate America, okay? This becomes a box on the paper, but you realize that you can't say goodbye to corporate America until first you've completed the business program. Because if you don't complete the business program, you're not going to have the knowledge that you need to be able to make your way out. Okay, so you complete the business program and you decide to take that business program first because you want to give yourself enough time to get it down and internalize it before you move on to the next thing. Okay, so you're going to do the business program first, and then you're going to, save $10,000, right? After that, bam, I've saved $10,000, right? Now, I know I'm making this very simple and very practical, and your issue may be a little bit more complex, but I'm just doing it in this very simplistic way in the interest of time. I'm only bringing up 3 items in the interest of time. Maybe your thing might take 10 steps. It may take 20. It may take 30, right? Whatever number of tasks that you got to get off your plate, it's time to start brain dumping it and start putting dates behind it so that way we can work gradually towards the explosion. Okay, so after I save off my 10,000, bam, I got exactly what I need to make the jump. I'm going to provide 2 weeks notice. And then after that, goodbye, corporate America. Okay, so this is how the exit plan is going to look. In short, like I said, I know I'm making it super basic for you, but as you can see, we've listed out the different things that we need to have accomplished in order to be able to explode on this barrier. This is our exit plan to be able to leave the job. So the first activity that we're going to have is being able to complete the business program. If I had put this on a date, I would have obviously put it before the March 1st one. So we're going to do the complete the business program. Then we're going to move on to the next, which is save $10,000. And then we're going to move on to providing the 2-week notice. So as you can see from the process chart, it's telling you what to focus on when. First this, then that, and then guess what? Goodbye to corporate America, right? You want to be able to create this process flow because it's going to take everything out of your brain and it's going to put it on paper in sequential steps. You're not going to have to guess, well, what should I do here, Uzziah? What should I do there? You're going to list everything out. You're going to put dates behind everything. And after you look at the dates on what makes sense for what to come first, then you're going to come back to starting to add these boxes in and say, okay, well, you know what? What I need to be doing to focus on right now is I need to be completing this business program. Let me just focus on getting out of that. Don't let me focus on this 2-week notice. Don't let me focus on the $10,000 in savings. Let me just focus on this right now. Okay? That's how you need to do it. That's the fastest way to be able to do it. And that's what's going to help you be able to make an explosion towards your barrier. Now, second thing, okay? And I'm going to make this brief. 80-20 principle. 80-20 principle. We talked about it earlier. 80-20 principle. 80% of your results come from 20% of your activities. So that means right now, of all of the many time-consuming activities you find yourself in your life, it's only 20% of the things that you're doing that's actually giving you an 80% return. So you need to start thinking about, okay, well, what are my 20% activities? That's what you need to add to this assignment as well. What are my 20% activities that makes 80% of the results? So once you've recognized out of all the things that you do, right? Write down all of the things that you do on a daily basis. Write down all the things that you do. What you need to be doing is you need to be selecting the top 3 things that actually move the needle. And then once you've selected the top 3 things out of all of the things that you do that moves the needle, you need to start building a life where you're doubling down your time on those 3 things and slowly cutting out everything else. Maybe you're delegating it to somebody else. Maybe just getting rid of it altogether. That's something that you need to be doing in order to get your life ahead. Because like I said, maybe you already have a goal in mind, or maybe you're already working hard. Well, the problem is your efforts and your energy is focused in too many different places. And in order for you to get ahead, you need laser focus on one set thing. When you laser focus on one set thing and you don't have a million distractions bogging you down, watch how much faster you can be able to accomplish your goal. Watch how much faster you can be able to get out of debt. If you took just only one debt and dumped a ton of money there, rather than you taking the exact same amount of money and you evenly scattering it across all these different lender accounts, guarantee you be out of a debt a hell of a lot quicker if you paid it off one step at a time with laser focus. Third point, and this is very important, you got to think about the spring cleaning theory. Now, what is the spring cleaning theory? You know, have you ever tried to get rid of clothes that's in your closet and you always have this emotional connection with them? You know that you don't wear these clothes at all. You know that you're probably never going to wear it in your life. But for whatever reason, you won't throw it away. You won't part ways with it. You won't give it to somebody else. You always just say, well, you know, maybe one day I'll wear that. Oh, you know, that's too nice. Put that back. You know, I know my wife gets tired of me always saying that about my clothes and hoarding all of the stuff that she knows that I'm never going to wear, because I usually always switch in between 5 sets of clothes, but I like to have 5,000 if I could help it. So what you need to be able to do is you need to be able to go through the spring break or the spring cleaning theory. And with the spring cleaning theory, what you need to be able to do is say, you know, if I were to let go of this right now, would anybody notice? Including myself. So right now, I'll give you a prime example. You know, you're in the Facebook group for this program, and obviously you're getting a lot of professional benefits out of that. But when it comes to the rest of your social media experience, you may feel like, you know, that's a part of my life, but it might take up a lot of time. It might be taking away a lot of your focus and maybe limiting your ability to be able to get a lot of things done. So let's say right now you're on Twitter. If you canceled your Twitter account, in 30 days from now, would your life be any worse? Would your happiness change at all? Would life still be able to move forward? Chances are you'd still be fine 30 days after, right? And, you know, even though it might be a shot or a bruise to your ego, I don't think that your friends are going to feel like the world has ended because of the fact that you're not on social media. Because if they were your real friend, they'd be able to reach out to you in a multitude of other methods outside of that. So for some of you guys, you need to be able to spring clean your social media and say, I'm letting go of Twitter, I'm letting go of this, I'm letting go of that, I'm just not focused on it, because I need to focus more on what's actually going to take my life further rather than what's pulling me back. And guess what? It might be agonizing in the first week because you're breaking the addiction of these social media platforms, but guess what? After that, you find yourself 30 days later and you say, you know, I got more done this month than I would ever get done in about 6 months. Why was that? And you recognize it's because of the fact that you had more time at your disposal and more focus. And maybe it may not be social media, it may be other things. Only you can decide what things should go on your spring cleaning list. So just like when it comes to throwing away clothes, you may have certain emotional connections with certain things. Maybe it's people that need to be on a spring cleaning list. Maybe it's hobbies that need to be on a spring cleaning list. Maybe all types of different things. You know better than I do how you spend your time. You need to put these things on your spring cleaning list, and you need to go through a 30-day experiment where you stop doing all of these things for 30 days and see if you miss it after the 30 days have passed. See if your life has gotten any worse. You might have had fears that, oh man, if I stop this, then this, and if I stop that, then that. Give yourself 30 days and see if anything actually changes or makes a difference. Because like I said, 80% of all of your results comes from only 20% of your efforts. So there's a good chance that the things that you stopped doing for 30 days, it's a good chance that most of that was part of that 80% that was never actually taking your life anywhere, but you just did it to do it. So that's going to do it for this video. I really want you to take some time to think through, what are my top barriers? What's my 80% of things that's not getting me forward? And how can I effectively spring clean my life so that way I could set myself up for a future success? Always think about this. Short-term sacrifices will lead to long-term gains. Short-term wins will lead to long-term losses, okay? 9 times out of 10. So be encouraged. Focus on this. Send me an assignment based upon whatever we discussed. Send me your results from what came through what I told you to do in today's video. Send it to my email, ziyad@iwannabesuccessful.com. And I'm curious to see what you come up with. Take care, and I'll see you guys for next week's video.